Check, check. Okay. Deeply sorry for the horrendous voice. I'm just getting over being sick, but very excited to finally finish my Necromancer PvP build for update 40. Probably going to carry it on to the next chapter or next patch that they release, only because it seems to work the best for my type of playstyle. And I main Necromancer, so I've done my best to similarly play it as a Sorc, because I used to main Magic a Sorcerer, and I could never break the habit of that rotation. So what I did was I took what Necromancer excels at, its dot damage, and kind of made it into a ranged Necro single target / AoE burst. So it happens to hit someone by themselves really hard, but if there are other people around, then obviously Blast Bones will help alleviate some of the unwanted targets in the area. So without further ado, let's jump into the stat sheet unbuffed. So here we're looking at all of our recoveries, our spell damage. This is magic, so spell damage and spell penetration is what we're going to be focusing on. Maximum magic's pretty good, along with our max health. Recoveries will go up with our pots, our passives, our ghost. I think we hit about 1600 both magic and stamina recovery. Health recovery is not an issue because we are stage 3 vampire. If you do hear something in the background, that's my daughter. She's watching TV. We're using the Lover Mundus stone to give us juicy penetration stats. Stage 3 vampire. And then Jewels of Mizrael for the food, just to help with our recov, since they already kind of low on the unbuffed side. But like I said, once we get fully buffed up, we're going to be sitting at around 1600, both magic and stamina recovery. And then with continuous attack, those will obviously go up as well. We are a dark elf, before I forget to mention that. And there is a couple of different ways that you can play this build. I guess what I'm trying to say is you don't have to play it as a ranged Necromancer, but this is how I like to play, so this is the way that I set it up. The reason why I say that is because you can alternate whatever front bar weapon that you want. I picked this because of my preference, and I will explain here in just a second. But we are using the Master's Perfected Ice Staff. Master Staffs are going to give you that 600 weapon and spell damage with the Destructive Touch skill, and it's going to last for 4 seconds, so it's really good for setting up your burst. And it's a 4-second cooldown, so it's 100% uptime, as long as you're casting it. Sharpened, of course, and then we're using the poison weapons, or I'm sorry, the crown lethal poisons on the weapon. Our second set, well, first set I should say, Nobility in Decay. I have yet to see a PvP build showing this, displaying this, I should say, as what the people are using. You know, you pardon me. You see people using it on streams or in YouTube videos, but you never actually see a build video. And with me maining a Necro, I was very excited to hear about this set. I know there's been some mixed feelings about it, but I definitely gave it a shot, and the way that I have it set up, it seems to work really well. We are using a bow. A bow is actually kind of slept on. You know, people like to run the Ice Staff back bar with the Elemental Drain, but if you look at the bow passives, it really kind of helps with healing and a couple other things that people kind of look over. Yeah, increases your damage done by 5% against enemies 15 meters closer. Increases your critical chance rating is what we're looking at. Getting that extra crit just by having a bow equipped, that's going to help with your healing. Increases in your critical chance again. Yeah, so crit across the board. This is obviously, we're using Venom Arrow for our Major Sorcery and Savagery. Hawkeye, just going to buff our abilities a little bit more. And then this is the big one. Major Expedition, and increases your movement speed by 30%. So we don't have we don't have a snare removal, so I didn't have room for it on the bar. But having a bow on the back bar gives you that major expedition when you need it, when you break free, when you dodge roll, what have you. So nice to have. Bows are really, I mean, they're kind of old school. Back in the day, like bow back bar was the go-to for a lot of builds. Stamina builds usually, but you know, with the hybridization, it just kind of works with however, whatever playstyle fits your needs. And the Necromancer not having major sorcery and savagery, I don't know why I keep saying savagery, major sorcery and brutality built into their toolkits, it was a very effective skill to put Venom Arrow on the back bar, and by doing so, it allows us to do a couple of things. One, it gives us the buff. Two, we're allowed to use bow on the back bar to get the passives. And three, which is why I'm going to explain the next set, Helmet of Fire. We are using a lot of heavy pieces on this. It's going to help with heavy attack, getting those resources back. But the main reason why, as you read the tooltips here, you get weapon and spell damage, max stamina, crit chance. So there's more crit. You deal damage with a weapon, you deal an additional 25-19 flame damage. Why is this important? Well, if we look at our weapons here, Master's Perfected Ice Staff. You're going to get 103 weapon and spell damage passively, and then you hit another 600 for 4 seconds. And what did this 5-piece bonus say? You deal flame damage whenever you do weapon. When you deal damage with a weapon, you deal an additional 25-19 flame damage. So let's look at our weapons here. Destructive Touch passive. Frost Reach. We're not using the clench, we want to use the reach. So you get the 11,790 for 20 seconds. Plus, the Ice Staff is pretty good spammable damage with using the Frost Reach rather than like Force Pulse or the Flame Skulls that the Necro has. And you're going to be hitting them with the Chilled status effect too. So, almost 7,000 spammable damage for something that we're just kind of clicking to buff our other abilities. Not bad at all. So, you have the 11,790 frost damage over 20 seconds. That's going to be proccing our Way of the Fire. You have Venom Arrow, which is going to be doing another 10,800 poison damage over 20 seconds, which is also going to be ticking, proccing Way of the Fire. And then if you look at our poisons, those will also, 20% of the time with our light attacks, will be proccing Way of the Fire. We have 3 different ways of proccing Way of the Fire, but we also have 3 different dots, not even including our skills, that's going to be proccing Way of the Fire. And if you look in Necromancer's passives here, you go to Rapid Rot, increases your damage done with damage over time effects by 10%. So that goes a long way if you're just going to be accumulating a bunch of dots together, especially on a single target. It's not necessarily burst, but the pressure is almost unbearable, especially when you have Blast Bones and Dawnbreakers thrown at the enemy. So if you go over here to our dummy, where are we here? Hit them with the Venom Arrow, hit them with Blast Bones, hit them with Frost Clench, Dawnbreaker. You got all of these dots ticking. Just collecting real estate damage here. It's nice. So while the combo itself is, you're going to proc up, hit him with the Venom Arrow, Blast Bones, Frost Clench, and then, we're using the healing version of Blood Mist. You got all these dots ticking, and they're getting melted. It's disgusting. So, keep that in mind. Like I said, all heavy too, just because when you heavy attack, you're going to get a lot of resources back. It's going to help with our sustain, and then I can also show a fully buffed stat sheet, so that way people aren't too scared in the beginning of the video. How are you going to sustain? You got no resources, but it works, trust me. Yeah, so body pieces, nobility, Way of the Fire. We're not running a monster because of our master's front bar. Bloodthirsty, infused bloodthirsty. We are running Markin. You can run something else, but Markin just works because, it gives you damage and armor. Necro is, they kind of lack bar space because of everything, so just giving a little extra more damage and armor where it's needed goes a long way. Going into the skills, demonstrated a few of them. Blood Mist. It's like another hot. You can use the other one if you'd like, but I prefer this just because, you know, there's going to be so many people on you all the time. You know, battlegrounds, whether you're getting hit at ranged or you have that pesky Nightblade just hitting you from behind. This is going to definitely help out with the healing. Frost Reach, explain that's going to be our spammable damage. It's going to do the damage over time, hit the chilled status effect. Stalking Blast Bones, this is our bread and butter. And then as you see the tool, the cost, it's $15.39. That's reusable parts passive. So it's a pretty light on the resources because you're not going to be really hitting this unless you're looking for stealth players. Mystic Siphon's free. This is going to be hit with reusable parts all the time, so it's only costing you 1,500 magic. Frost Clench, you're probably going to be spamming this quite a bit, but you know it's not going to hurt you too much just because it's already reduced cost by having the Master's staff equipped. Dawnbreaker, honestly, you could put any ultimate here. I prefer the Necro ultimate, but it's so hard to, you know, kind of entrap enemies in that. They only get hit with maybe one, if you're lucky, 2 smashes. Dawnbreaker's kind of a a cheap, clutch way of getting a stun off on players too. Summoner's Armor, help with our pets. I mean, this thing's stupid expensive too. $24.62 with reusable parts, but then when you hit that, it reduces the cost even more. Resistant Flash, Burst Heal. Renewing Undeath. This is a flex spot. There's a couple of different skills that I like to use, Hexproof being one of them. But the other one, you could definitely go into Bone Tyrant here. Bitter Harvest. Use the other morph, Deaden Pain, to give you major protection, which goes a long way with Nobility of Decay. I just realized we didn't even go over that. So Nobility of Decay, for those that are wondering, casting a Bone Tyrant ability grants you Death's Favor for 16 seconds, increases your healing received, and reduces damage taken by up to 12% based on your missing health. So it's a super tank set, and then the 2, 3, and 4 piece bonuses are going to really help with your healing and your max health overall. But combining this along with Vampire it's stupid. Like, you just can sit there and just get hit over and over again, and you just won't die. You'll eventually die because the game, you know, is designed to have everyone at least be killable at some point. But it is a great way for Necro to be able to just kind of stay in the game. I mean, they're still the worst class in PvP, but opening up a new play style with this, allowing yourself to be the corpse, so that way you can tether yourself, keep your resistances up, keep your recoveries up, and then, you know, without having the line of sight problem and breaking the siphon between you and the corpse. It's kind of a silly set, but in a way, Necro really benefits from it, and I've seen a huge difference being able to keep those tethers up 100% of the time. So yeah, keep that in mind. It's reduced the cooldown by every Bone Tyrant ability that you have slotted. I know it says 0 seconds. I think it's just a typo or a bugged comment, but it's usually a 20-second cooldown, and then it's reduced by 2 for every Bone Tyrant ability slotted. So we got 1, 2, 3, or no, yeah, that's a Living Death. So if you have Bitter Harvest there, or the Totem, or the Scythe, whatever you want, it's another 2 seconds cooldown. Going back to our skills, you said Blast Bones, bread and butter. Mystic Siphon, it's a free skill. Doing shock damage, you're going to get the recoveries across the board, and while slotted, your damage does increase by 3%. Inner Light, I mainly keep this just because there's so many Nightblades in PvP lately. Otherwise, I don't really use it, and I click it more than I want to, and it's so costly. What else? Losing my train of thought here. Oh, the back bar. Duh. Summoner's Armor. It's going to help resistant flesh, renewing death. We talked about that being our flex spot. Spirit Guardian. Venom Arrow. Talked about how it's going to give her buffs and just provide another dot. And then Ravenous Goliath. It's such a broken skill. People are saying that this is overpowered, but you know how many times I get killed in this? It's so goofy. The only reason why I keep it is because of the Nobility of Decay, 2-second reduced cooldown. But when you transform into this thing, people will just immediately target you for no reason. They'll be looking at you, or they'll be fighting, okay, facing this direction. As soon as you go in your Goliath form, everybody turns around and starts attacking the Goliath, and then you just immediately die. So you're kind of putting a target on your back, but it is fun to use when it actually you aren't killed immediately, but whatever. But that's the build. The rotation, we can go over it real quick. Buff up. So here's our stats here. And then when you hit the siphon, it's gonna buff your spell penetration.
What happened, babe?
Of course the dog ate your food. Alright, but let's wrap this video up. That is my Necromancer for update 40. Wanted to get it out there. I will see you guys in the graveyard. Peace out.